The Second World War occurred from September 1st, 1939 to September 2nd, 1945. It was known as one of the most devastating wars in history. But the US wasn't immediately part of the struggle. That came when the Japanese launched a surprise attack on December 7th, 1941 at Pearl Harbor, killing over 2,400 people. That attack caused the United States to declare war on Japan the very next day. The United States, launched into a second global conflict, had to quickly increase its military in order to participate in the war. But in order to create more powerful equipment, we needed a more powerful material to be utilized. That material was an alloy named steel, and it changed the face of modern living and modern warfare for years to come. Steel, an alloy made by mixing iron, carbon, and other metals, was selected as a material for important warfare constructions because it was stronger than iron. Before steel, iron was the metal of choice for weaponry, buildings, and tools. It remained that way for millennia until Sir Henry Bessemer found a way to remove the impurities from pig iron to make steel in 1856. The process has since been improved, allowing for different strengths or grades of steel on demand. It became ideal in world warfare because of how quickly it could be made and how effective it was in the technology used by Allied soldiers. Steel was a necessity in World War II because of the high demand for ships, airplanes, and tanks. Less than 50 years before, the First World War had brought technological advances, making warfare more harrowing, deadly, and costly. After having nearly a quarter of a century to innovate, when these countries went to war again, the results were even grander. The innovations of ships, airplanes, tanks, and the machines that built them created a war where innovations back home were almost as influential as the equipment on the front lines. Whether it was an aircraft carrier, bomber, tank, gun, or grenade, steel was a necessary part of the Allies' victory over the Axis. With the men fighting overseas, the American steel workforce was greatly reduced. Women, minorities, and immigrants replaced those men during the war. For example, Giovanna Scheller, a female machinist that worked at Lucan's, loves her job. And James Plater, an African-American bricklayer's assistant, can be seen working in mortar with a smile on his face. The American steel industry, which included women, minorities, and immigrants, produced a wide range of items. Some of these products include the bombers and guns mentioned earlier, but also things like motors and parts for communications towers. The workforce heavily included women and minorities such as African Americans and Hispanics. With the help of these groups that had not been appreciated in the workforce before, the US was able to produce more military goods than the Axis powers could combined. The work of citizens back at home helped the United States become a global superpower by the end of World War II. Some companies that created steel for the war effort include US Steel, Bethlehem Steel, and Lucan Steel, a few of the largest and most influential companies in the United States at the time. With very dedicated workers, these companies were able to reach the high production levels required during wartime. The war boosted the US economy as a whole and placed the United States along with the Soviet Union as a global superpower. The United States steel production topped the world's industry production post-war. That trend continued for many years to come, and the United States remains one of the top steel makers in the world today.